Wolf note. That's crazy, right? That's what you call a wolf note. So let me tell you what causes a wolf note. You know when you're in a bathroom and there's one note that's really loud, and that is the note that the whole volume of the room encompasses. So each instrument has that same kind of note. So it's the sound of the volume of the instruments. Violins have it much easier to hear on a violin. Violas, cellos, so any space creates a particular sound. So let's... So you can hear that it reverberates a lot more inside the instrument. And that is also usually the tone of the wolf note. So what happens is this is really interesting. The volume of the instrument creates a sound wave. And then when you're playing the same note, you're also creating the same sound wave. And that sound wave gets transferred onto the top plate. And so the top plate starts vibrating in that sound wave. But at the same time, the volume of the instrument is also vibrating at that sound wave, but it's not exactly the same. It's very slightly different. And so when a note is slightly different, and you've got the nodes, you know, the nodes of the music going up and down, and at one point they intersect. And where they intersect, they make this whoop, that kind of noise. And you can actually hear it when I'm playing the wolf note. I'm not a cellist. So don't expect any Elgar or Bach or anything like that, okay? Isn't that crazy? So, a lot of very famous cellos actually have a magnificent wolf. And a lot of soloists actually say the wolf is part of the instrument. You just have to learn how to tame it. So the great cellist Pablo Casals said he didn't want to modify the wolf tone on his instrument because it was part of its character. Pablo Casals played on a beautiful Matteo Goffrilla cello from 1733. So what can you do to stop the wolf? So the first thing you can do is a wolf tone eliminator. And that's there are various different devices, one of which is a little weight that you screw onto the string, and it can dampen the wolf tone. There's one spot on the top plate, usually somewhere around here, where you can actually put two magnets or a weight on the inside of the instrument, and that can dampen the wolf note too. But all of these devices actually dampen the sound a little bit. The wolf tone is not necessarily the most dominant note in a piece. It's something that you play past. So there you can probably get away with just moving past the wolf note. But then if that note is the most dominant and very important, there is a little trick that players use. So I can actually squeeze my legs. So squeeze the bottom of the instrument. By doing that, you've got to be careful. Don't do it too hard. You squeeze a little bit, you change the volume. So currently I'm squeezing. So that actually shifts the wolf note enough so that you don't really hear it, or that it doesn't come out on that note. Isn't it amazing? Like I said, you would only use it for really important notes. If the wolf is really bad, you might want to consider a wolf note eliminator. Most very good sounding cellos will have a wolf tone because the cello plates are thinner compared to the rest of the body than the violin top and back plates, and that's why they will just have that distort a little bit easier. So there you go. What's most important is that you love the sound of your instrument. If your cello has a wolf tone, it's not necessarily a huge problem. Like I said, it can be managed with playing slightly differently, playing the notes slightly differently. You can, sometimes you can skip over it. If it really worries you, you can use a wolf tone eliminator or some of the other kind of tools that there are, like there's the one that goes onto the top plate. You can also squeeze the cello slightly if it's a big and important note, but don't do it too often. Your cello is so fragile. The sides of the cello are close to 2 millimeters, so they're very, very thin, so you don't want to cause damage. But generally it's all about taming the wolf. Now, if you have a wolf tone on your violin, that can be a real problem. To me, I think it probably means that the plates are too thin. The top plate and back plate are too thin, and so they're reacting. It's very unusual to have a wolf note on a violin. Viola is also unusual, but a little bit less unusual. You can get them on a viola, but it's also rare, and good violin makers will work around that. And again, it's very thin plates on an instrument can cause that. And generally, very thin plates on an instrument are not necessarily a really good idea anyway, because quite often instruments with very thin plates sound really beautiful when they're newly made, but there will be a drop off in the sound over the years. So it's important that the instruments have the correct kind of thickness. But anyway, if you've got a beautiful cello where you love the tone, try some of those workarounds, see if they work for you. You can also go and visit a violin maker and see if they can help you with the solutions. Sometimes adjusting the sound post slightly can help too, but each thing that you do to eliminate the wolf will probably also reduce the sound and the richness and fullness of the sound of the instrument. So you've got to remember that you take away the wolf, but you also take away some of the sound. So it's not, you don't always want to fully manage a wolf note on an instrument. It's very rare that you have a cello with no wolf note. Anyway, I hope this helped you a little bit more on the wolf tones or notes on an instrument. In the end, make sure you have a beautiful sounding instrument that you really love and that represents your voice, that makes you feel good when you're playing. Like and subscribe and hit the little bell, because that way you find out every time I post a new video. Keep making beautiful music. Great to have you as an audience. I'll see you guys later. Bye.